Get ready, because on today's deep dive, we are going ringside for AEW, all in 2024.
All in.
And not just any event.
No, sir.
Wembley Stadium.
Huge.
80,000 screaming fans, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
A massive event.
Huge. And you know what's wild? Almost every single match was an open challenge.
Oh, yeah. Talk about pressure for these champions. Anyone could step up at any time for a title shot.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You're the champ, and suddenly...
anyone could come out.
For your title.
You got to be ready for anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of being ready for anything, let's talk about our commentary team for this deep dive, because we've got Carl.
The owner of AEW.
The owner, right there in the mix.
Yeah. He is not your typical detached announcer.
No.
He is living and breathing every single near fall, every single high spot.
Yeah. And he's got some opinions.
He does.
Let me tell you.
He does. And you know what? Alongside him, you've got veterans in the industry, JJ and Glenn, who've seen it all. And then you've got these newer voices like Bradley and Tom, and they did not hold back.
Especially with those British accents.
Oh, those accents add a whole other layer of drama to it.
Especially when one of them would completely blank on, like, a wrestler's name.
Yes.
And another one would swoop in like a wrestling encyclopedia.
It was hilarious. It was like, you could practically hear the eye rolls across the decades of wrestling fans.
It really shows you, like, the generational differences, right?
Absolutely. And that's something I think we'll probably unpack a little bit as we go deeper into this.
Oh, for sure. But let's set the scene here. Wembley Stadium, roaring crowd. And right out of the gate, the Women's Tag Team Championship is on the line.
Huge match.
Toxic Attraction.
Yeah.
The champs, they're facing some competition.
Right off the bat, what happened?
New champs.
New champs.
Right away.
Toxic Attraction out. And the new team, which is a very interesting pairing, of Becky Lynch.
Yes.
And wait for it, Saraya.
What a return to her home country, right? Former WWE comes back.
Wins the title in her first match.
First match, wins the title.
The place went crazy.
It was electric.
But a little drama early on because Saraya seemed to injure her leg.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Was that a work? Or is this something they're playing straight? Do we know?
I think we're going to get into it a little bit later, but let's just say it added another layer of intrigue to the match.
Yeah, yeah.
And potentially to the title reign.
For sure. Okay, so next up, Casino Battle Royale for a future title shot.
Right.
Which, you know, it's always a little bit of a...
It could be a little messy.
It can be messy, yeah.
Yeah.
Not this time.
No, this was a fight.
Alex Shelley wins it.
Yes.
Covered in blood.
People were saying he looked like a young Ric Flair.
He really did.
Coming out of that match.
It felt like those classic, like, brawl-heavy matches.
Oh,
that Flair was known for intense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went from intense to, like, hold my beer, because we have a full-on WWE invasion.
I mean, come on. Ric Flair shows up with AJ Styles, Batista. What is going on here?
You could feel it in the air, right? Like, and it really, I think, set the tone
Yes.
for the rest of the night.
For sure.
We had Jushin Thunder Liger defending his title against a debuting Christian Cage. For those unfamiliar, Christian is a seasoned veteran of the wrestling world.
He is.
Known for his cunning and ruthlessness in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
The commentary even brings up his recent loss at NWA 76 to Nick Wayne, a young up-and-comer.
Oh, really?
Adding insult to injury, right?
And Christian looked fired up, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little something to prove after, you know, the way things ended with NWA. I think, yeah, he had that look in his eye like, I'm here to make a statement.
For sure. And I'm really interested to see where they go with this.
Me too.
Because, you know, does this lead to something else?
Who knows? It's wide open right now.
Okay. AEW World Trios Championship was on the line, Adam Cole's team defending. But the Hart Foundation, led by Kevin Steen, was out for blood. This was more than just a match. This was a family affair with enough backstory to fill a whole other deep dive.
Oh, yeah, we're talking Kevin Steen.
Really in the New Hart Foundation.
Hold on.
Yeah.
For those of us who didn't grow up glued to wrestling, what is the Hart Foundation, and why is everyone freaking out about Kevin Steen?
Guess you need a little history lesson.
Please.
The Hart Foundation was this legendary tag team back in the 90s.
Okay.
Known for their power, their aggression, their just like old school approach to wrestling.
So like the Smash Mouth.
Basically. And
Okay.
Kevin Steen idolized these guys.
Okay.
He even tried to like recreate the Hart Foundation earlier in his career.
So this new Hart Foundation is like a tribute act.
In a way, yes, but also so much more.
Okay,
Because Steen isn't just copying his heroes, he's carrying their legacy forward.
I like it.
But you want to talk about adding another layer to this?
Okay,
His partners in this match?
let's hear it.
Owen Hart?
The commentators lost their minds.
They were practically speechless. Owen Hart's career was tragically cut short years ago.
Years and years ago.
To see him back in the ring, especially in this context, it was emotional.
But, okay, so we've got legacy, we've got emotion, we've got some seriously impressive tag team maneuvers. Who emerges victorious from this history-making showdown?
Well, let's just say the new Hart Foundation proved they weren't just a nostalgia act. They were a force to be reckoned with. Okay, but are you ready for this? AEW World Tag Team Championships were on the line, and defending those titles, none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
What? Nobody expected that. Talk about a power move.
I know, right? Like, what is happening?
I know.
His opponents, The Miz and Ricochet.
Oh, the nostalgia. It felt like we were back in the Attitude Era.
It did.
It was awesome.
And Ricochet, back after that whole proxy champion thing, you could tell he wanted revenge.
Oh, he was out for blood. You could see it in his eyes.
It was amazing. Okay.
I loved that element of the story.
Oh, it added such a great element to it.
Yeah.
And it was already a highly anticipated match, but then you add that.
Exactly.
So good. But not without a little controversy.
Well, yeah. I mean, The Rock walked away with the win.
People's elbow perfectly placed.
As always. But
Yeah.
let's be honest. It was a close one.
It was.
And some might say his tactics were a little questionable.
They were. Okay, take a breath, because we've got Bret Hart versus Bryan Danielson
I'm not ready for this.
in a career versus career match.
Oh, my goodness. The stakes don't get any higher.
They've already both retired once.
I know.
The loser is gone from AEW for good.
This is it.
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Me too. The crowd was electric.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Everyone was on their feet.
And what did we get? We got under 10 minutes, Danielson wins.
I was shocked. I thought for sure this was going to be a 30-minute, pull out all the stops kind of match.
I know. Especially with that build, with all that history.
Yeah.
And it felt anticlimactic almost.
It did.
I don't know, am I wrong?
No, I think a lot of people felt that way. It was so quick.
It was so quick, and I kept waiting for something else to happen, and it was like, nope, that's it.
We're talking two of the most technically gifted wrestlers of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Commentary kept saying 1A and 1B when talking about them.
Whoa.
They'd already faced each other at Revolution and Double or Nothing earlier in the year.
Right.
Both instant classics, so
Mhm.
expectations were sky high for this one.
And then it was over in under 7 minutes.
Wow.
Just like that. The commentary was stunned, even questioning if maybe Hart might jump ship to a different company rather than retire.
It was a shockingly quick end to such a hyped match.
Right.
You could almost hear the collective gasp from the audience.
And then we had, well, there's no way to sugarcoat this,
What's that?
the exploding barbed wire death match.
Oh, boy.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
No.
This was AEW pushing boundaries, showcasing a level of violence you really don't see in professional wrestling these days.
Not for everybody,
No.
but definitely a spectacle.
It was Darby Allin and Alexa Bliss against Mil Muertes and Katrina, two former members of Allin's faction.
Okay.
Commentary called the whole thing a cluster,
Oh, really?
just full of chaotic energy and unpredictable moments.
You could tell they were walking a fine line between being entertained and being concerned about the well-being of the wrestlers involved.
Right. But, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
That's part of the appeal of these types of matches. It's about pushing the limits of what's acceptable,
Sure.
testing the boundaries of what fans will tolerate.
And the commentary actually tapped into an interesting point.
Oh, yeah.
They joked that whoever booked this match might end up in jail.
What?
Clearly exaggerating, but it highlights that fine line. AEW is walking between innovation and recklessness. I was surprised they even did it,
I know.
honestly.
And apparently Darby Allin wasn't the only one who got hurt.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, we're getting some reports that some fans close to the ring got injured by debris
Oh, wow.
from the explosion.
That's awful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see,
Yeah.
does this change how AEW does these matches?
Especially in a bigger venue like this, right?
Yeah.
Wembley.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing to do it in, a smaller arena, but when you've got 80,000 people,
Right,
you're really increasing that risk.
for sure. On a lighter note, Christian Cage,
Yeah.
surprise debut, wins the TNT Championship. What do you think?
I loved it. It was so well done.
Yeah.
And he had that chip on his shoulder, I think, after,
Yeah.
leaving NWA the way he did. He seemed very adamant about that, by the way.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He did not hold back.
Like, what did he say?
In his post-match interview, he was basically accusing the owner of NWA of, orchestrating his downfall. Yeah, he was purposely fed to Nick Wayne at NWA 76, made to look weak.
Wow.
Forced out of the company.
He's saying it was all a setup.
That was his implication, yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure the NWA will have something to say about that.
Oh, I'm sure. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
right.
but it sounds like it was just as wild outside the ring.
It really was. I mean, you had 80,000 people there.
80,000.
At Wembley.
Going absolutely nuts.
Yeah, what was the vibe like? Was everyone happy? Was everyone on board with everything? What was the feeling?
For the most part, yeah, I think the fans at Wembley were on another level.
I bet.
But that being said, there were definitely some reports that, certain sections of the crowd were not happy with the way some things went down.
Okay, like what?
Well, for starters, apparently there were audible boos when The Rock made his entrance.
Really? For The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock.
Well, it seems like some fans felt like he was, there to promote himself,
Okay.
promote his brand, and not really, genuinely contribute to AEW.
So it's that overshadowing thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be frustrating. I get it when you have these big Hollywood names come in.
Right.
And they're taking the spotlight away from the AEW regulars.
Yeah, and some people felt like he didn't take the match seriously either.
Oh, interesting.
Did you see what he was wearing?
No, what was he wearing?
He came out in, a tie and jewelry.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. He looked like he was going to a red carpet event, not a wrestling match.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then the way he stole the pin from Ricky Starks, people were not happy.
Interesting.
They saw it as a big ego trip.
So it really makes you wonder, is he really committed? Or is he just using this as a platform for himself?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only time will tell, I guess. Okay, so just when you thought things couldn't get any wilder, we reached the main event.
Here we go.
MJF challenging AJ Styles for the AEW World Championship.
The MJF story.
But it was about so much more than just the title.
Just the sheer number of people involved, behind the scenes. I mean, we've got AJ Styles. He's our reigning champ, AEW World Heavyweight Championship, right? He's facing off against MJF. And then in the background, you've got Triple H. You've got The Rock lurking. I mean, it felt like a powder keg, honestly.
And explode, it did. But to really grasp the weight of what went down, we got to rewind a bit. Because you're right, this wasn't just a match. This was like a collision of wrestling legacies, personal vendettas, and more corporate maneuvering than you could shake a stick at.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Where do we even begin?
Let's start with the elephant, or should I say elephants, in the room.
Okay.
That commentary booth.
Oh, yeah.
You got Carl Dutton, AEW's head honcho, sweating bullets
Right.
as he watches his champion potentially walk away with his most valuable asset.
With his whole company, basically?
And right beside him,
Yeah.
JJ,
Oh, no.
WWF's head booker,
Yeah.
who has to be internally relishing this chaos.
Oh, absolutely. Front row seat to your competitor potentially imploding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got Glenn Barker,
Oh.
former head of WWA,
Yeah.
who probably still sees dollar signs every time AJ Styles steps in the ring, considering,
History. Yeah.
And then,
It's like a wrestling family reunion gone wrong.
yes.
Everyone's pretending to be civil, but secretly hoping the other's empires crumble.
Don't forget good old Tom from NWA, probably just happy to be included. But the real wild card,
Yeah.
Ric Flair, mic'd up at ringside.
Yeah.
Vanaging AJ spitting fire like it's 1985 all over again. You could cut the tension with a steel chair.
See, that's what I mean about a powder keg. You've got all this bad blood, all these simmering tensions right beneath the surface. Any one of them could have set the whole thing off.
Oh, 100%.
And into this this viper's nest of wrestling royalty, right?
Yeah.
To drop AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Who's fighting for his future at this point. And MJF, who's kind of playing the role of AEW's last hope. I can only imagine how that kind of pressure would impact a match.
You can imagine, but luckily, you don't have to.
Right?
Think about that spiral tap AJ busted out.
Yeah.
The one that he hasn't, used since his Ring of Honor days.
Yeah.
That was a statement.
Yeah.
He wasn't just out there wrestling. He was proving a point.
Right.
This match was his career highlight reel. a love letter to every promotion that ever doubted him.
Okay.
It was really something else.
So that makes sense. But what about MJF's tactics then? Because you mentioned in your notes that even the commentators were kind of taken aback by some of the stuff that he pulled.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, MJF, he's a student of the game.
Yeah.
You know, he knows how to get under people's skin, he knows how to exploit weaknesses, and he knows how to weaponize wrestling history. That near tombstone pile driver, he attempted on AJ.
Yeah.
Textbook MJF.
What do you mean?
Think about it.
Okay.
The Undertaker's signature move.
Right.
Used on the very night that AJ Styles has a chance to jump ship to WWE.
Oh.
It was a message.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Wow.
And the commentary booth, by the way.
Yeah.
Erupted. Glenn Barker almost choked on his cigar.
Oh my God.
It was glorious.
Wow. I missed that on the when I was watching it. So it wasn't even just about the move itself. It was about like the story behind it, the history.
Exactly.
Okay.
MJF understands that, like in wrestling, the real blows are often delivered through symbolism, through psychology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of symbolism,
Yes.
the dynamite diamond ring,
Oh.
I had it in my notes. I was like, wait, is that the ring? Like, it felt like something out of a movie, you know?
Right.
This object with its own legacy of, like, drama, you know, being brought into the fight.
That's because it does have its own legacy.
Right.
That ring has been a part of some of MJF's most controversial wins, dirtiest tricks. The commentators recognized it instantly.
Yeah.
Some were appalled, obviously.
Sure.
But a few, I think they were almost impressed by the sheer audacity of it.
Wow. Okay. So we've got this match. The fate of, like, multiple companies is hanging in the balance.
Oh, yeah, at least.
We've got a commentary booth that's, like, one bad word away from a meltdown.
Yeah.
And we've got enough personal baggage to fill a jumbo jet. And then the clock strikes midnight.
It's wild.
Take us to that moment right before, like, the finish.
Okay, so picture this. AJ's future's hanging by a thread.
Right.
The tension is so thick you could cut it with, like, a steel chair, you know? Neither competitor is backing down. And then MJF, being the opportunist that he is, seizes on this, like, moment of weakness
Yeah.
and goes for the pin.
Oh, man.
And the crowd goes silent for a split second.
I bet everyone in Wembley held their breath.
And just as the ref's hand hits the mat for the 3 count,
Yeah.
you see it. MJF's feet on the ropes
Mm-hmm.
and his hand
Uh-huh.
clutching that diamond ring.
No way. He cheated with all those witnesses.
He did. But here's the thing about MJF.
Yeah.
He doesn't just want to win.
Right.
He wants to rub everyone's face in it.
Yeah. And just like that, the powder keg explodes. And let me tell you that commentary was furious.
I bet.
They were screaming for a disqualification, calling for someone to overturn the decision.
Wow. And what happened?
Chaos.
Yeah.
But then, just when you thought things couldn't get any wilder,
Yeah?
out comes William Regal.
William Regal. What?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Regal's entrance was like the calm before the storm.
I bet.
The commentary was buzzing,
Oh, yeah.
speculating about what he was going to do.
What was he going to do?
Was he there to strip MJF of the title, restart the match?
Right.
Regal upheld MJF's win,
Wow.
much to the dismay of the crowd, I'm sure. But then, in a shocking twist, he restarts the match,
He restarted it.
appointing himself as the special guest referee. So they bring in William Regal. Okay, so that feels like AEW drawing a line in the sand saying, okay, things just got real.
It was a power move for sure.
Yeah.
But remember all that, like, simmering tension we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
Triple H, who, up to this point, has been noticeably absent,
Yeah.
chooses this exact moment to make his grand entrance.
Oh, no.
And by grand entrance, I mean he storms the ring and goes straight for Ric Flair.
Hold on, Triple H and Ric Flair, things weren't chaotic enough with just the original players.
Apparently not.
Oh, my God.
You see, this wasn't just some random act of aggression. This was like decades-long rivalry, reignited.
Wow.
And as if things couldn't get any crazier, The Rock decides that he's not going to let Triple H steal his thunder. Jumps into the fray, too.
Oh, my God.
The commentary booth, let's just say they were speechless for a good 5 seconds, which in commentary time is basically a century.
So it's a full-blown brawl now, in the middle of a championship rematch with seconds ticking away on AJ Styles' contract. This is insane.
And then, just when you thought it couldn't possibly get any wilder,
Yeah.
the glass shatters.
No.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, in the flesh, strides down the ramp.
Stone cold.
Yeah.
You serious? Talk about an ace up the sleeve.
The place went absolutely bonkers.
I bet.
But here's the thing about Stone Cold. He's not just there to make a cameo.
Right.
He's there to make things right. He restores order, sends a very clear message to The Rock and Triple H, and basically ensures that AJ and MJF can finish what they started.
Okay, my heart is racing just listening to this. So AJ's got his rematch. Stone Cold's playing referee, bodyguard. I don't even know. The clock is still ticking. What happens?
With, like, literally minutes to spare before midnight.
Yeah.
AJ Styles hits MJF with, like, everything he's got and scores the pin. The crowd explodes, the bell rings, and AJ Styles walks out of Wembley Stadium, AEW World Heavyweight Championship in hand, a free agent, and quite possibly the most talked about wrestler on the planet.
Wow. Just wow. So what does this all mean? Break it down for me, because I feel like we just witnessed a seismic shift in, like, the wrestling world.
You're not wrong. On the surface, it's simple.
Yeah.
AJ Styles is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
For about 5 minutes.
Oh, right.
His contract expired the second he won.
Right.
Meaning that championship now belongs to WWE.
Okay, so WWE, they just hit the jackpot. They've got, like, the most prestigious title in the game. They've got AJ Styles, a bona fide superstar, headlining their shows. What does that do to AEW, though?
Well, it leaves them reeling, for sure. I mean, they put all their eggs in the MJF basket, and it backfired spectacularly.
Yeah.
And now they're left picking up the pieces and trying to figure out what their next move is.
Right.
Do they try to rebuild? Do they try to, poach talent from other organizations? That was a guess at this point.
And then there's Stone Cold.
Right.
What does that mean for all of this? Is he back for good? Whose side is he on?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. He rode in, saved the day, and rode off into the sunset, leaving a trail of speculation in his wake. Was this a one-time thing? Is he negotiating a comeback? And if so, where does he fit into all of this? WWA, AEW. Or maybe, just maybe, he's starting his own wrestling empire.
This one match has spun off more storylines than, like, a season of my favorite TV drama.
I know, right?
Honestly, I don't even know where to begin processing all of this.
Welcome to the world of professional wrestling.
Right.
Where the lines between reality and entertainment are blurred, legends never truly die, and anything can happen.
I guess that's why we love it, right? The drama, the athleticism, just the soap opera of it all.
Exactly. This wasn't just a match. This was a spectacle. It was a history lesson. It was a masterclass in storytelling. And it was the beginning of a whole new chapter in the world of professional wrestling. And you, my friend, had a front row seat.
You're right. Sometimes you have to step back from the chaos and just appreciate the ride.